What's going on, you guys? My name's Ty Knots and welcome to Top 5 Unknowns. 5 scary let's not meet stories from Reddit. Number 5. When my parents had their first child, they were living really far away from their families. When I was 1 or 2, one of my father's sisters came over for a few days. We were at a local supermarket and she asked my mom if she could take me with her while she looked for a few things. So my mom handed me over and carried on with her shopping. Just a few minutes later, my aunt came back with a huge smile on her face, saying, "Hey, have you seen a little princess around here?" My mom thought it was a joke at first and kind of laughed it off, waiting for my aunt to say something else. But my aunt just stood there staring at her. My mom then realized that my aunt just lost me, so she immediately yelled at my dad and they started searching. My parents split up and went to each entrance, alerting security and making sure no one was trying to sneak me out of the store. And then, through the crowd, my mom saw a stripe of green fabric that she recognized as my dress. She then ran toward me and saw that I was being carried by a woman who was just walking out of the store. She snatched me from her arms and hugged me tightly and ran back to find my dad. She should have stopped the woman, but she said at that very moment the only thing she could do was hug me. She didn't even see where she went. This is in the early 90s and they didn't report a thing, but needless to say, I wasn't allowed to be in my aunt's presence without supervision from that point on. Number 4. Just a few days ago, this 30-ish-year-old man was wearing Heelys, and I immediately smiled with the biggest, most genuine smile at him, just due to the fact that he was a 30-year-old man scooting around on Heelys in a grocery store. But then, things got a bit weird. I was with my older sister and she didn't seem to notice him, but he began rolling past us down every aisle that we were on. The first few times it was funny, almost as if he was just showing off his cool Heelys. But my sister likes to go down every single aisle, so I began to get freaked out by him after the first few aisles. The weird part was he didn't even seem to be looking for groceries. He didn't pick up a single thing off of the shelves, and we'd been there for quite a long time. My sister started to get freaked out, so we went to pay for our stuff and this guy still followed us. This creepy dude picked up a magazine from the little rack and paid for it immediately after us. And while the lady was making the transaction, he kept doing these little impatient jumps and kept looking back at us with the absolute creepiest smile I've ever seen. We asked one of the male workers if he would help us load our groceries into our car. The worker could tell we were obviously startled and nodded his head in understanding. We hurried to my sister's car and had some time to get away because the Heelys guy had to wait for another car to pass by. Finally, he skated towards us, but as soon as he saw the other worker guy with us, he whispered to himself and just rolled away. The scariest part was that he just threw the magazine in the trash as soon as he got out of the door. Number 3. I remember my dad calling my name, and hands grabbing me and lifting me up from the ground. He started running with me. I felt his breath in my neck, but didn't see him. He was holding me very tight. I thought it was my dad playing and joking with me because I was running away. I thought this was all fun and laughed until I heard screams and the person I thought was my dad being pushed to the ground. I remember my mom picking me up and holding me tightly, crying hysterically, and my dad picking the guy up from the floor next to me that I didn't even know. My dad grabbed him by his collar and asked why he took me and was running away. The guy didn't answer, so my dad hit him in the face really hard. People were coming and helping my dad keep the guy locked down until police came. The only thing the guy said was, "I just wanted to hug her." Number 2. I was walking home with a friend after getting a late dinner. It was probably around 10 p.m. It was in the winter, so it had already been dark for quite some time. We didn't see the two people standing in the path until we were quite close to them due to the darkness. They both had large coats with hoods drawn over their faces. They were silent and standing still. As we passed them on either side, I heard one of the people hiss with an angry whisper. I looked at my friend nervously, but figured that they must have been talking to each other. We continued on the path a little bit further when I felt my friend grip my arm. I turned my head to see the two people had started following us at a rather quick pace, with their hoods still pulled down over their faces. I panicked and grabbed my friend's hand and we sprinted a block or so down the path before it turned into a busy street. At this point, the men simply turned around and walked away. I know it's a pretty simple story, but it still scares me to think what may have happened if these guys had actually caught us. Number 1. This happened about 4 years ago when I was 15. At the time, I would always go to the local pool for a swim around 5 or 6 p.m. There weren't many people in the pool around this time, so it was perfect. Well, one day after my swim, I got out of the pool and went straight to the bathroom stall to take a shower. Before that, I noticed that it was only me and one other person in the pool, so I didn't think much about it. But while I was showering, I got this really creepy vibe. I turned around to see the guy from the pool, lying down watching me from the opening at the bottom of the shower stall door. He then asked me a sexual question which I'd rather not repeat, and I told him to get out and then began kicking at his face. I then got back into my clothes and headed home. While leaving the pool area on my bike, I could hear the guy catcalling me as I rode away. To this day, I don't go to that pool anymore because of what happened. And thinking back, it was not only creepy but also gross. Lying down on the bathroom floor, I mean. After the incident, I read somewhere that this pool has developed a bad reputation because of these creepers. In fact, one poor guy was actually sexually assaulted in a stall and now has an incurable STD. It's awful to think that that guy could have easily done that to me as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to click that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell to keep updated with our videos.